You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Kevin Holland takes on Gunnar Nelson this Saturday on the main card of UFC Fight Night London, England. And this is kind of a put up or shut up moment for both of these guys. Kevin Holland, once a darling of the UFC, very exciting fan favorite, has kind of fallen on rough times as of late. Coming off of a loss to Rainier de Ritter, lost by rear naked choke in the first round, just got taken down and immediately subbed, and then had a rib injury against Roman Dolidze. Don't know if it was actually a rib injury or if it was a broken rib, but whatever it was, he didn't look very good in that fight. Did beat Michael Olechechik by armbar, but then before that lost to Michael Page, where he's just kind of embarrassed on the feet, and then lost to Jack Della Maddalena. No shame in that fight. But taking on Gunnar Nelson, who also kind of needs to decide what he wants to do, being 36 in the UFC. Hasn't fought since March of 2023, so been out of the game for about 2 years now, which is kind of concerning. And his 2 fights before he left were a win over Brian Barberena and then Takashi Sato. Before that, he hadn't fought. He fought Takashi Sato in 2022, and then before that didn't fight until 2019 against Gilbert Burns. Lost to Gilbert Burns, lost to Leon Edwards. So he hasn't had tons of fights in the last 5 years. He's had, this will be his 5th fight in the last 5 years, which is unfortunate because he's very good, very high level on the feet, or on the ground, sorry. On the feet, he's kind of got like a Taekwondo side stance type of style. Not the most dangerous guy. He usually kind of just uses it to gauge the distance to get his takedowns, but I got to go with Gunnar Nelson in this one, and this is a hard pick for me because I want to pick Kevin Holland to win again. I really do. I just can't trust the guy. I can't trust picking Kevin Holland until he proves to me that he is the Kevin Holland of old. The COVID Kevin Holland fighting 5 times in a year. That Kevin Holland, because I'm not seeing it as of late. I feel like he steps in there for a paycheck. As soon as things get a little tough, he taps out and goes home. That's how I feel about Kevin Holland right now. I hope he proves me wrong. Gunnar Nelson's 36 years old. He's going to be much smaller than Kevin Holland. He's 5'11" with a 72-inch reach versus a 6'3", 81-inch reach. So he's going to have a 9-inch reach disadvantage. We're going to see if Kevin Holland can use that to keep Gunnar Nelson at bay and defend the takedowns, but he just hasn't been able. He hasn't shown the ability to defend takedowns as of late. Got taken down immediately by Rainier de Ritter, taken down by Dolidze. Couldn't get Michael Page down. Got manhandled by Khamzat Chimaev. Couldn't get Stephen Thompson down. Beat Michael Chiesa, but who's not beating Michael Chiesa? Beat Santiago Ponzinibbio, but again, Santiago Ponzinibbio is 38 years old. Who's not beating him nowadays? Beats Tim Means, beats Alex Oliveira. He's got some decent wins, but none as of late. Michael Olechechik, I know that I was up at middleweight. Yes, that's impressive. Should never been fighting at middleweight. He doesn't have, the muscle and the frame. Well, he has the frame, but he just doesn't have the thickness and the muscle to compete at middleweight. But then I think he moves down to welterweight, and I think he's going to get out-wrestled and out-muscled by somebody like Gunnar Nelson, who's been known in the game as an elite grappler for years. Renzo Gracie black belt, amazing jiu-jitsu technique. I just think that Kevin Holland isn't going to be able to touch Gunnar Nelson. I think Gunnar Nelson's going to be able to blitz in, get him to the ground, and have the fight take place there on the ground, or get the finish. And I know Kevin Holland is I think he's a Travis Lutter black belt. He's high level himself on paper, and we've seen flashes of brilliance of his jiu-jitsu, like when he knocked out Ronaldo Souza from guard. Obviously his Darce over Michael Chiesa, his armbar over Michael Olechechik, but I don't think he's pulling that off against somebody like Gunnar Nelson. So I got to go with Gunnar Nelson. I just don't like the way that Kevin Holland has looked as of late. I think Kevin Holland could piece him up on the feet. I think there's a very good chance of that, but I thought there was a chance of that against Rainier de Ritter, and he got taken down and submitted inside of round 1. Rainier de Ritter is much bigger than Gunnar Nelson, but I don't know. I got to go with Gunnar Nelson, who I think he can stay safe on the feet and get his takedowns and get a submission or get a decision. He did get TKO'd by Santiago Ponzinibbio, but that was prime Ponzinibbio 7 or 8 years ago. and hasn't really been hurt on the feet that I've seen since. So I'm gonna go with Gunnar Nelson. I think he's a small favorite in this one. I would go with Kevin Holland if he hadn't had performances in his last two like he did against Renier de Ridder and Roman Dolidze. And I know saying that, knowing how big those guys are compared to Kevin Holland and compared to Gunnar Nelson, but I also wonder about where Kevin Holland's mind's at. Where is his confidence at? Is he training hard anymore? Or does he kind of think that it's over for him? He doesn't really have a chance to, get those big fights anymore or fight for a belt. He is 32. He's 26-13. Just kind of such a fall from grace for Kevin Holland. Big mouth, as we like to call him. But I'm hoping that if he can just stay disciplined, come out with a decent game plan, and stay focused and not really just be nonchalant and kind of give up when the going gets tough. If he can stay at welterweight and diet in his natural weight class, I think he can start to put things together. But until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to pick him. So I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson to get a submission. And if not submission, I think he dominates on the ground, controls position, and gets a decision. Thanks, guys.